Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Township Committee meeting of July 14th, 2015. Ms. Brock, please call the roll.
Committeeman Delport.
Here.
Committeeman McCauley.
Here.
Committeeman Sirachi. Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Here.
Mayor Thompson.
Here. Please join me in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be advised that in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, that notice of this meeting was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex and notifying the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex at 7:30 p.m. on July 14th, 2015. First up, we have approval of minutes, and those may have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 16th, 2015 special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delport.
Yes.
Committeeman McCauley.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes. Now, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2015 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Committeeman Delport.
Yes.
Committeeman McCauley.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports from committee liaisons. First up, Committeeman Delport.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of items. Just a reminder, this Saturday is the Sourland Music Festival. It's going to be held up in Sourland Mountains at Hillsborough Country Club. And it's a wonderful event we have up there, a lot of local bands. If you want to go out and just enjoy the beautiful view of the mountains and hear some music, we encourage you to attend. Friday, July 31st will be our annual Dave Thomas Memorial Fishing Derby and the Family Campout. That's held at Ann Van Middlesworth Park. It's anyone that hasn't attended, I strongly encourage you, if you have family want to go out and enjoy camping in a fairly serene setting. It's a great opportunity to go out and either practice camping or just take advantage of the park there. We also have the fishing derby there in the pond. The young kids love that, and registration is available. We do encourage you to register if you plan on attending, because we do get food both for dinner and for breakfast. So please, if you would like to attend, go onto the website, Parks and Recreation, and sign up. It's always a fun event, the camp out night. And Thursday, August the 6th, we will have our annual Purple Heart ceremony. The Purple Heart plaque sits outside in our Garden of Honor. We were awarded the Purple Heart community last year, and we thank the local chapter of the Purple Heart for donating that to us. And it's always a nice event when we get out there and honor our Purple Heart recipients. So please come out August the 6th. That's a Thursday. And from an engineering standpoint, for those residents that reside on the northeastern portion of town bordering Manville, you may hear some flood sirens coming up. They were recently installed by Manville, and they're being tested on a monthly basis. They conduct tests generally on the first Saturday of each month around noon. So if you do hear that, not anything to be alarmed, but just some testing going on. The sirens may get set off on heavy rain days when the forecast calls for possible flooding, but generally it's those Saturday morning ones are just tests. So just to make sure the residents are aware of what's happening there. And that's all from me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeewoman McCauley.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. A few updates. Just a reminder that effective July 20th, the recycling pickups on about 26 roads in Hillsborough will be changed to pick up on Monday instead of Tuesday. There is a list online on our e-news. It will be included again this Friday. Also, it will impact you, there was an a notice placed inside the handling buckets of the recycling buckets, so you'll find that in there if that you are impacted for that. Again, it's going to be picked up on Mondays and not on Tuesdays any longer. From our Office of Fire Safety, just a reminder, everyone likes to grill. It's always a lot of fun, picnics, parties, barbecues, but there can also be some very trying damages to very hot grills. Safety should be in place, clear of debris from around the grills. Also, if there's children or pets outside, please make sure that they have safety awareness and that they're aware of what harm can have with the heat of the grill, etc. Keep your grills far away from your homes. I know my own personal experience. I have a good friend, the house burned down because the grill was too close to the home, and can be much hotter than you think it may be. So please practice safe mechanisms for your grilling this summer and have a safe summer. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Just to advise those residents utilizing the online tax payment system for condominiums, please be aware that your block and lot designation may have been revised for 2015. Please refer to your assessment card that was mailed to you in February, and feel free to contact the tax assessor at 908-369-8077 if you have any questions. Third quarter tax bills will be mailed July 28th. Property owners who use the online system will not be able to make payments until after July 28th. As a result of the mailing date, there is a resolution being considered later on in tonight's agenda extending the grace period until August 24th for the tax bills. Those residents who have registered and utilized the Shop Hillsborough program, your tax credits will also be shown on the third quarter tax bills. From the construction department, they would like to remind you that pools, spas, hot tubs, even seasonal pools require proper construction permits in addition to meeting zoning and engineering codes of the township. Please see Friday's e-newsletter for more information or reach out to the construction department if you have any questions. They can be reached at 908-369-4313. The office is open from Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30 and Tuesday evenings till 7. And also I'd like to remind everybody that the Rotary Fair starts August 11th, Tuesday, August 11th, and will run till Sunday the 16th. It'll go from about 6 to 10 p.m., and we'll have extended hours on Sunday this year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. A couple things from me this evening. First, last Thursday we officially opened up the township's new dog park. It was a great event. We had about, I think, say 50 dogs came out. A lot of township residents were there. We beat the rain by about 30 minutes. After that, it came down pretty good. So,
Cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was not going there, but yes. The park, which sits at the back of the Ann Vans Middleworth Park, behind softball, baseball field number 2, is double gated, fenced in, leash-free area for the dogs over age of 6 months to socialize and exercise with their owners. Any dogs there must be spayed or neutered and cannot show any signs of aggression. A complete listing of the rules and regulations for the new facility can be found in Ordinance 2015-11 in Chapter 221 of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough. Just as a reminder, the park is open from dawn to dusk, and be sure to stop by with your dog and check out this newest addition to our township. Also, another reminder about the public hearing about the OTW. We received a letter from the State of New Jersey, Office of the Attorney General, Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of New Jersey Racing Commission, that states that hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 22nd at the Hillsborough High School Auditorium. That meeting is at 7 o'clock. So please come out. This is your opportunity to voice either your support, opposition, or to learn more about an OTW. As a reminder, only the New Jersey Racing Commission and the Attorney General has any say on that matter. So please come to that meeting and voice any concerns or support that you may have for that application. Also, it's important that I note that application has still not been made available to the township or to the township residents, just so everyone is aware. Also, I'm happy to report that we now have over 50 Hillsborough businesses signed up for the new Hillsborough Business Community Township map that we announced a few weeks ago. We've learned that corporations move very slowly, so we're taking a bit longer to get everyone signed up. So we've extended the deadline to July 31st. Anyone who's interested can contact Doreen Lorenzetti of Lorenzetti Studios at lorenzettistudios@yahoo.com. We will have that link in the e-news as we've had the last couple weeks so that everyone can see it. At this time, we're going to move on to our proclamations and presentations that I know we have a few people here for tonight. After you receive your recognition, we ask that you take your seat, and we'll pause briefly to allow everyone to depart. Also, if you'd like to see any of the photos that we've taken this evening, sign up for the Township e-News. We have cards in the back. Fill out, put your email address on, and we send it out to you every Friday so you can see photos from today's awards. So at this time, I'd like to ask Michael Kerr, our new Eagle Scout, to come forward. Michael. Mark. Ed Mike. I'm sorry, Mark. Very nice to meet you. Corrected. It's Mark. I take it back. Whereas Mark Kerr, a Hillsborough High School junior and a member of Boy Scout Troop 49, has recently earned the status of Eagle Scout. And whereas we, the Township Committee of the Township of Hillsborough, recognize the many hours Mark devoted to attaining the status of Eagle Scout, working with diligence and making sacrifices in order to achieve this highly coveted position. And whereas Mark has served the Boy Scouts in an exemplary manner and is deserving of this honor bestowed upon him. And whereas Mark has served in various leadership positions, including patrol leader and troop guide. And whereas Mark's Eagle Scout project consisted of managing the replacement of 2 old, unusable fire pits with the construction of 2 new handicap-accessible fire pits near the Girl Scout Pavilion at the Oak Spring Girl Scout Camp. And whereas Mark successfully organized a time of 12 Boy Scouts, 11 adult leaders, and 2 other adults totaling 87 hours of work. And whereas Mark serves as an example of the youth of Hillsborough Township through the high level of leadership and community service, and we are very proud that he's a member of our community. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the Mayor of the Township Committee of the Township of Hillsborough, do hereby recognize and extend our sincere congratulations to Mark Kerr for having achieved the status of Eagle Scout, an honor for both him and for those who have guided him with best wishes for a bright future. Be it further proclaimed that we, the Mayor of the Township Committee of the Township of Hillsborough, thank all the members of the Boy Scouts of America, both past and present, for their continued dedication and support within our community. Congratulations.
So for my project, there was a big field, and I replaced 2 fire pits and like made handicap accessible fire pits, which are higher up, so like people with wheelchairs can like roll up and like enjoy the heat and like cook on in too. Yeah.
Want to talk more about what you've done? You can start with Cub Scouts, work all the way up. Congratulations. Okay, next up we have a donation to our Hillsborough food pantry, or Hillsborough Can. I believe Adam Racers, are you here? Come on up. Good to see you guys. How you doing? Hi, good to see you. How are you? I remember meeting you. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Well, on this one I don't get to speak. I'm going to hand the microphone over to you guys to talk about who you are and why you're making this very generous donation to us.
My name is Warren Moser. I'm the president of Adams RCers. We're a local RC aviation club that flies remote control airplanes here in Hillsborough. Every year we have a swap meet, and the Hillsborough Municipal Building is the place that we have it. It's in February. So we do pretty well. We raise money for the club, and we like to give back to the community. So part of the proceeds and profits that we make, we like to give back to the food bank. So we are here to make a donation to the food bank in the amount of $330. The club itself is donating $250, and then we put a donation can on the refreshments counter, and we raised an additional $80 from patrons. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Where did they find you at? Okay. If anybody's interested in learning how to fly radio-controlled airplanes, you can go to www.adamsrc.net. And online, there's we have a bunch of information, a form you can download, an application, and we do have our meetings here in this building the third Friday of every month.
Take it harder than that.
Thank you again, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Next up, for those who don't know, we recently held a health and wellness fair, a green and health fair here at the township. We had a tremendous turnout, but one thing that we asked some of our youngsters in the community to design posters for it. So we are going to be calling up some of the youngsters that got a thank you for your hard work and participation. And then we also have some awards for some of the youngsters who went above and beyond and deserves a little more recognition. So I'm going to start calling you guys up one at a time. Or, I'm sorry, all you can come up when I call your name. All right, and if I say your name wrong, I apologize, and you can tell me when you get up here. Juhi? Did I say it right? Yes, all right. Good for me. All right, hang out. Okay. Okay, Javal? Did I get that one right too? All right, I'm doing good today. There you go, buddy. Then we have Anvi. Did I get that one right too? Yep. See?
3 for 3.
I'm good now. All right, come on up. Did you draw that? Right here. Just come down over here. And smile. Yafi? 4 for 4? Right? Ashley? Come on up, Ashley. All right, now yours. Eva? All right, there you go. Look at that smile. Oh. Julia? And Allison? All right, come on up. Thank you. First, we want to thank you guys for designing these amazing posters. They're great. And participating in our fair this year. It's our second annual. We're going to keep them going. But more importantly now, I'm going to hand you the microphone, and you got to see your name nice and loud right into the camera. There's millions of people watching at home. Okay? There's no pressure. And I'm going to start with you, okay? Say your name nice and loud.
Hi, I'm Julia.
Good job.
I'm Ashley. I'm Javel. I'm Anvi.
Good job.
I'm Juhi. I'm Nafe. I'm Eva. I'm Allison.
Great job. Didn't they do a great job? Look at these posters. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get really close. We're going to look at that camera. We're going to look straight ahead of the camera. So come over here, come this way. There you go. This is okay. Dog. There you go. Great job, everybody. Thank you. Congratulations. We have an honorable mention that I don't believe is here, but I'm going to call out the name just in case. Is Ada Wang here? No, well, I'm going to hold up the drawing that she did, which is great. She's going to be getting this long darts, basketball, and a badminton set for honorable mention. For third place, we have Ryan Lee. Is Ryan here? Come on up, Ryan. You get to take home all this swag over here. Look at that. Do you want a skateboard? You just got one, so you say yes. We're going to take a photo real quick, all right? Got it.
Thank you.
All right.
Good job.
Okay, now for second place, we had Ritvik. Did I say it right? Come on up, buddy. All right. So this is his poster that he designed for us, and he gets to take home a brand new Razor scooter. So congratulations on that one. That one's cool. I know, it's great, right?
Good job.
All right, next up is our first place winner, Alexis. Is Alexis here? Come on up. This is Alexis's poster that we obviously got first place. She gets to take home a football, but there's also money on top. A $25 gift certificate that was donated by, any canoe or kayak rental along the Delaware and Raritan Canal. So congratulations, that's a lot of fun, and thank you for participating. We appreciate it. Now we get to Again, I want to remind everyone that you will have an opportunity to see any of those photos. If you, before you leave, in the back of the room, there's these little cards. Fill them out. Give us your email address so we can get it to you. We're going to take a brief break because some of you I know would like to go home. You don't have to. You can certainly stay, but if you want to leave, we understand. Thank you and congratulations to all our award recipients and for everyone who participated in our poster contest. Thank you. Have a good night. You good? Okay. We're going to move on to new business. There is no new business this evening, so we're going to move on to public comment on new business and matters not on the agenda. So if you have a comment on a matter that we're not
Hold on,
discussing,
Dougie, hang on.
we're going to do that all over again. We have no new business this evening, so we're going to move on to public comment and new business on matters not on the agenda. Again, this is for matters that are currently not on the agenda this evening. So please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Sally Triance, and I live at 555 Mountain View Road. Before I begin my concern that I'd like to express to you, Mayor, and also the members of the Township Committee, I'd like to share some photos of an intersection my neighbors and myself are very concerned about, and that is the intersection of East Mountain and Mountain View Road. Could I ask you to come down and view a few photos first before I speak?
If you can hand it to us, I'll pass it around up here.
The photos were taken this morning at 7 a.m. as part of what I consider rush hour traffic begins at that intersection. The intersection is located at the northwest corner of what will be the Sutherland Mountain Preserve entrance. as well as what is also going to be one of the roads that will be utilized to access the new Mountain View Park. I started a quest with some neighbors about 3 years ago, and we spoke to the Public Works, we spoke to the engineering people, and we spoke to whoever would listen to us in reference to mowing and trying to improve that particular intersection. There's an extreme visibility hazard right at the foot of that intersection. When you look at the picture, there is a brown house in the background. There is a young child that enters a school bus that goes to Woodfern School on a regular basis. And we have a high concern as to the fact that the traffic on that road really tends to exceed what is posted as a 35 to 40 mile an hour speed limit. I went to speak to a number of my neighbors and just to see if it was my problem, as I have to go to that intersection every morning and make a right-hand turn to go to Amwell Road, and there is absolutely no way you can see cars coming over an embankment that is in that roadway. And their response was they were very willing and eager to sign a petition, which I have, that represents 48 of the residents in that area, which feel the same way about the visibility. And we really come, I guess I'd have to say, I have to see something and say something. That's the era from where I am. I will not just sit down and shut up like some people are told. We really, really need attention to this intersection. I sent a letter to Mr. Bellinger as well as one of my neighbors in March, because we were advised that it might be something that would have to go on the capital planning, and was told that really we probably had our own manpower that could do something to improve that intersection, and maybe it wouldn't even go to that. The southwest corner of the property is owned by the county, and just like the Montgomery section of East Mountain Road, probably could be approached to secure whatever necessary to maybe take the embankment down and a few of the scrub trees to make visibility be improved. We really feel it's an issue that may cause life or death in the future. And as that park opens, and we're all really anxious for that park to open on Mountain View, we feel it will give us an opportunity to again walk safely, ride bikes safely, something we can no longer do on East Mountain and Mountain View Road. We also realize, I have grandkids involved, we also realize it's going to generate a lot more traffic because we are building ball fields. And as you know, when you build them, they will come. We do expect people to come for tournament play, and we want them to come into that park in a safe manner as well and be able to exit and go back to the Hunterdon Hills where a lot of them come from safely. So again, on behalf of the 48 residents that have signed this petition, I really beg you consider some kind of improvement, and I'd love to see it done before the school buses start to roll at that intersection again. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Well, Sally, as you know, that you and I spoke about this a week ago.
Yes.
And that I grew up and spent 23 years,
yes,
four houses away from that intersection. I know it very well.
Your parents signed a petition,
and
yes.
as we spoke about, as I was going, as I spoke to you about, that we are addressing it. We've been looking at it. We had our DPW trucks over there just the other day. We know that this is not going to be something that we can just do out of our regular budget. It's going to be something that has to come out of capital. We're looking at it. We just had our engineering work up some numbers. I don't have them in front of me right now, but we're looking at it to see how we can possibly do something to address it.
Well, then I would beg you, could we please have somebody come out there and at least on the Public Works mow back some of that undergrowth that is a problem, and could probably...
I believe the one that's on our property, the one in the county, I think we reached out to, if I remember.
Right. Yeah, Tom has reached out to you, Sally, Tom Bellinger. The crews have gone out, both the engineering and DPW, and they're working with the county to see what's the best way we can get that as safe as we possibly can. So I think they've just recently been talking to you as well.
Will Public Works be out there within the week, I hope?
Yes. There you
Is
go.
that a possibility?
Yes. I've
Because
spoke
again,
to
we
Rich
started in March begging for this.
They were out there a few weeks ago, I think.
I know they've cut
I-
the spot a couple times.
I drive there,
now,
too.
and you know it's Sarah-Lawrence, how fast the grass grows and everything
Yeah.
grows
Exactly.
back there.
But I mean, when I drive by these pristinely mowed drainage basins, I have to feel a little bit upset because that is an intersection with a safety issue, and the more visibility, the better it is for all concerned.
And as you and I spoke about just a week ago, we're addressing it and looking into it.
Okay, so within a week or two, I should see something.
As we spoke about a week ago, we're looking into it. We're going to have someone address it.
The other thing I would suggest, Chief, I don't know if you've kind of had the opportunity to take a look there, if there's anything that you want to add or something that we should talk about as far as a safety concern there.
Yeah, we did look at it. I don't have the traffic data in front of me, but we haven't had any real serious accidents there in quite a long time. I did speak to Administrator Ferrara about 2 weeks ago and DPW Reserve, discussing cutting back some of the vegetation, but the main problem is the hill. The berm comes up and goes to the side, which is going to cause some major reconstruction of the roadway to really take out that sight line. But looking north and is cut back safely. The southern section, where as you turn going towards Montgomery, is the issue. Once it's cut back, the visibility has improved, but you really need a great amount of work there to really knock down that road.
And Chief, that road, East Mountain Road, isn't our targeted enforcement, right? We do have.
Yes, we're there frequently.
Yep. Okay. All right. Any other comments on matters not on the agenda this evening? Not on the agenda. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Sally's husband, and I live in the same area. And we've been living there now like 40 years or so, and I'm sure even when you lived there, traffic was way different than it is now.
It's two different roads.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I travel that route myself, and I drive a pickup truck. When I look to the left, you don't see anybody. So you pull out, and before you know it, they're right behind you. And this is a place to live, in America, Hillsborough. Let's make sure we all can live here. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment on, any public comment on matters not on the agenda? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the public hearings. First up is 2015-13, an ordinance granting a long-term tax abatement to Animal Commons Urban Renewal Associates, LP, for a residential affordable housing project on property described herein, and authorizing the mayor to sign a financial agreement with Animal Commons Urban Renewal Associates, LP. This project has been part of the township's affordable housing plan for the last several years. This ordinance allows the project to be eligible for tax credits through the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, thereby making the project financially feasible. This project consists of affordable rental apartments plus 14 affordable special needs units, equating to 68 and up to 108 affordable housing tax credits. If the township relied upon more traditional affordable housing mechanisms, the township would have to permit the development of 340 units, of which 68 would be affordable. Furthermore, the township to obtain 108 affordable housing unit credits, the township would have to permit the development of 540 units, of which 100 would be therefore affordable. The pilot furthers the township's interest in meeting its affordable housing obligation, while at the same time minimizing the impact of far greater development and more dense development for our community as a whole. Under the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency standards, a 100% affordable housing project, such as this one, would not be eligible for tax credit financing unless Hillsborough issues it a pilot. And again, the pilot is what makes this project financially viable. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to open the public hearing, unless there's any comments. Oh, let's open it up first. A motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2015?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, any discussion from the dais?
Yeah. So Mayor, a couple of things, just so we can, everyone's clear on really what's transpiring here, because I want to make sure it's everyone's aligned on the issue here. First of all, people hear abatement and they think that somehow the development is not contributing to the township in a fair way. They are not paying traditional taxes, but this project will create revenue to the township in the form of payment in lieu of taxes. And what that means is there's just a different formula that a payment is made to the township to collect that payment. It's not traditional, so it's not called taxes, and that's why there's an abatement here. So I just want to make sure everyone is clear on that. The reason for the pilot as opposed to the tax issue is really a couple of things. First of all, as you noted, it's as a fully affordable development, they have the right to seek a pilot payment. A fully affordable development such as this, it just kind of makes sense that it's not a market development. So the developer is not building this to sell them at market rate units, to sell the units at market rates, which would allow them to then have a full, what you would assume, the regular or normal tax load. This development assists the township in meeting its affordable housing obligation, and I can tell you that obligation is significant. Back in 2008, we had to put together our round 3 obligations. This development has been part of that plan since that time. And what we've tried to do is put a plan in place that meets the state requirements, meets our obligations, and what that does is it keeps developers in suing the town under a builder's remedy, which would allow them to build significantly denser housing on the same property. So our obligations have been met based upon the plan that we had put in place under the old round 3 obligations. They're now have been revised again, thanks to our wonderful Supreme Court here in New Jersey. But the net effect is that we have a plan in place that helps us meet that obligation, and that obligation was nearly 600 units back in 2008. This development, with the 54 units, 40 affordable rentals, and 14 special needs rentals, they count what we call double credits. So really for a 54 unit development, we nearly get credit for 108 units. We don't have to build them, they just count towards that number against our obligation. So under a regular standard development with a 20% set aside, meaning for every 5 regular market rate houses you build, you have to have 1 affordable housing unit, we'd have to build nearly 550 houses to meet the same obligation that this development with 54 units allows us to meet. That's significant because when you look at how much more traffic, impact to our infrastructure, impact to our municipal services, and impact to our schools is affected by the fact that we're able to shrink this obligation down to 54 instead of 540. So it is really just a common sense approach that we're taking here. Again, this has been part of the plan for a number of years. It's only now coming to fruition because the builders are ready to actually move forward with this plan. And as part of the pilot program, they're seeking funding from the affordable housing group out of Trenton. So I wish I could tell you affordable housing with the obligations that we had would be lessened on our town, but the reality is they're not. The Supreme Court has been very clear, and we have an obligation that we need to meet, and this development, based upon the way it's set up, allows us to meet it in a very efficient, effective way without significant density on that same property. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear. We've taken a proactive approach beginning in 2008 through today to help us meet our obligations, to not subject ourselves to builders' remedies, and allow us to meet our obligations in the most effective way possible. And that's really what we're, and this pilot goes towards helping us do that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments from the dais?
Mayor, just a quick comment. I know most people up here on the dais know how passionate I am about affordable housing when we get behind closed doors and start talking about it. But this is a significant way of really approaching it in the best manner that we can into the affordable housing into the township of Hillsborough. Like Mr. Delcourt had said, you know, it's really a significant amount of number of units. I mean, 54 to 500, you know, it really could make a huge, huge impact. And I wanted to say thank you because what we do have to work with, we have a good plan here, and we're thankful for that. So thanks for everyone on the planning board and everyone who's affiliated, our attorneys, et cetera, who bring us the information, and we can create a good plan for the township of Hillsborough as it increases density. So thank you, and good plan.
Okay. Seeing no other further discussion from the dais, I'm going to move on to discussion from the floor. Please come up forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, sir.
How are you this evening?
I'm sorry?
I said, how are you this evening?
Okay, very good. Is this one?
It's on, again, your name and address for the record,
My
please.
name is Robert Corrigano. The address is 81 Marshall Road. From what I understand, the buildings would be on Amwell Road at the T in the road from Pleasant View to Amwell. Is that correct?
Roughly, yes.
Okay. Rather than to do that, and I'm sure it's too late, but just to give an idea in case it isn't, wouldn't it be better to make it more north so that passerbys who think about coming to Hillsborough would say this is a nice residential one-family house or maybe condominiums, maybe townhouses, rather than to look like Brooklyn with all apartment houses. So if it was more north, it would accomplish your task, but would be out of sight passing by, people passing by.
I think you're falsely assuming that these are going to look like shamble housings.
No, I don't
And
think so.
that's not the case. I know this same group has done projects in Franklin, just south of us, and I can assure you, it does not. You would not know that it's affordable housing, and that's quite frankly that's the goal. That's been the goal, and something that the Supreme Court, I believe, in their either 2008 ruling or it was earlier than that, made sure that you had to make it look like it was part of the community. That way, it could not be stigmatized. And from the rough drawings that I've seen, you will not say that this looks like tenement housing or something like that. It's just not the case. And I'm sure, I think Community Delcor, who sits on the planning board, can speak to that better.
And I'm not trying to cut off your discussion, but the reality of the situation is this township committee does not hear the issue of the site plan and how the how the buildings sit on the site and how all the infrastructure around that. That's really the legal responsibility of the planning board. And there's been multiple hearings at the planning board to address the site plan, the engineering, the infrastructure, the road work, the drainage. So you can certainly ask, but it's really not a situation where we can, at this point, adjust that. There's a lot of engineering, there's a lot of site and architectural work that goes into that. So to simply say, why don't we move it a little further north, that's a much more complicated topic than it might seem at just for a casual discussion.
I'm sure that's true, but you're saying that it's too late, right, to move the...
For a site plan discussion, yeah.
Okay. And just let me say that I wasn't addressing astigmatism. I wasn't addressing that at all. As far as people go, affordable living, no. That's a good idea. But what I was addressing is the same buildings but moved out of sight so that it looks and keeps the integrity of what we have today in our type of buildings that we have, rather than to put an apartment house right in the middle of everything. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I didn't mean to misrepresent your saying. I just wanted to be clear that this isn't. I didn't want anyone to think that this was some sort of a high-rise Brooklyn apartment building, like you were alluding to.
Mayor, it's 2 stories.
2 stories high. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yes.
It's just 54
It's not an
units.
apartment building.
Okay, it's 2 stories high, but I think each building is about 1.5 short blocks in Brooklyn. It's about 300 feet, right? 290 feet. That's still pretty big.
We can show you a drawing if you'd like to see what it looks like. I think we have a representative from the. Can you come on up? Maybe put it up on the board over here for us.
Yeah, Brendan McBride from.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McBride.
The rendering actually.
Can you maybe just put it up on the
These are
on the sidewall over there?
Images of buildings that we've already built. Can give you a little sense of what we built. These are just 2 examples of my name's Brendan McBride, by the way. I'm from RPM Development, the company that's developing the project.
Hold on one second. We're going to get you the microphone. And to be clear, that's not a direct picture of what will be built. It's just a
This is just to give you some sense
idea.
of the quality of the building that we built, not the model of building that we would build. This is another building that we developed, built, and manage in Franklin Township, near Franklin Boulevard and Route 27. This is 4 stories, so it's completely not what we would build here. Here's a lower scale 2-story building. This is an elevator building. That's serviced just by stairways, and it's a much less dense development here in Hillsborough. But just to give you a sense of the quality of the finishes, I could go on forever, but this is a sense of the community room we would build. We have a similar quality of finish in the lobbies, and we built to a high quality product, given the fact that we don't just build it and then leave. We actually manage it for at least the next 3 decades. 30 to 45 years. So we're here to stay. We'll become citizens of Hillsborough and neighbors as well. And I'm happy to answer any particular questions that you might have about the development, how we operate it.
Just hold on, just hold on one second. We're just going to bring back the microphone. Oh, no.
Gotta get it in the
Yeah,
mic.
we brought it before back. We just want the people at home or for our records.
Stay by me. For one thing, you were saying that it's too late to move the site. Okay, so I'm just explaining my concern. Those buildings are nice buildings as far as the type of building, but it also reminds me of the supermarket, Stop and Shop. Okay, so put that right into the middle of single-family homes doesn't seem appropriate, which is what is south of Amwell on Pleasant View. So if it were somewhat more further north, which has a variety of different kinds of buildings, including, I think it's townhouses, okay, then we're in the mix of that type of construction appropriate in that type of area.
Okay.
Okay, that's why, so you're saying it's too late.
Yeah, this is not,
it's already been through.
and this is not really the forum to address that.
I shouldn't
That's
even
real,
know.
that's the, no, I'm not trying to stifle you. My only point is that legally, that's a planning board related matter.
Okay, and I think, make sure that I'm clear. The planning board don't bother to call because everything's been done.
The plan, it's already, the development has, the site plan has been approved through the planning board, correct?
Unchangeable.
Well, I won't say it's unchangeable, but the site plan has been approved. Unless there's another hearing on it, then,
See, this site would also take something like 3 acres, I think it is, out of 20. So it seemed like plenty of room. Now, of course, I don't know what's on that
Yeah,
6 acres.
that's-
But plenty of room to say, let's put it over here. I'm simplifying, of course.
Oh, we understand.
But that would
Yep.
be the idea. All right, I thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Robert, for your comments.
Thank you.
Any other comments from individuals? We're going to start, so you can come forward. And then we'll go left this way. My left. Again, state your name and address for the record, please.
Amadeo Diadamo, Jr., and my address is 913 Renate Drive, Unit 4 here in Hillsborough. Firstly, I want to say that I spent 2 hours at the city clerk's office, or municipal office, and I felt really gratified being there. I was extended every courtesy. I have to say that Pamela Boric as well made sure I had all the documents that I thought I needed. So I really want to thank the municipal clerk for how wonderfully that office is organized.
Thank you for that. We see it on a daily basis, so we appreciate it when members of the public get to see it as well. So thank you, Pamela, as well.
I just have some questions. This is designated as a urban renewal project, and as such is given some exemption by tax abatement and a schedule. The problem I have is the property doesn't seem to me to be an urban area. Looking up in the dictionary, an urban area is lots and lots of people, buildings, and so on, and that's like doesn't seem to me to be under that definition.
Mr. Mayor?
So,
Is it? Yeah, hold on, Mr. Amador. Yes, sir.
The phraseology urban area relates to the tax program that the funding is provided under. It does not necessarily have to be what is the common definition of an urban renewal or an urban area. It is merely the phraseology upon which the federal government, in its own infinite wisdom, has decided to determine how the tax program will be worked.
okay, thank you. So it seems to me that there are a couple of issues that are involved here then, having the idea that there is a tax abatement and the schedule and so on. Firstly, there is an item of $924,000 which will be given from a fund that the municipality has to the builder. How is that fund collected? And
that's a great question.
What is the distribution? Is it only to builders? Is it for other purposes?
So that Affordable Housing Trust Fund that each municipality has is given to the town by developers when they are developing properties throughout the town. I believe it was 2.5% for non-residential development.
For non-residential.
You have a development fee ordinance, you collect on residential development, you collect a percentage, you also
Excuse
collect
me,
on
Mr. Willard.
non-residential development, and you also collect on non-residential development. The only thing those funds can be used for is these type of affordable housing projects. It can only be used for affordable housing. You can't use it to pave a road, you can't put it in the general fund, it can only be used for affordable housing purposes.
And to be clear, none of that money was collected, it wasn't from property taxes, it was from developers as they were building in town. And if you remember, as part of Governor Christie's budget, I think it was last year, not this current budget, but it was the budget before, that money was, the state tried to recoup that funds if you weren't properly using it. So as part of this plan, we said last year that this money would be dedicated to this so that Hillsborough wouldn't lose out on roughly $1 million being taken by the state, that we can make sure it could stay in Hillsborough and we can make sure we meet our obligations.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely.
Then there are something over 100 bedrooms in those units. Now, my understanding is that there will be children there in those units. Is there a calculation of, from these 110 bedrooms, more or less, how many children will be needed to be educated by Hillsborough?
According to our affordable housing consultant, it is 33 children is what they estimate.
33 children
33
total.
That is what they estimate.
Total.
Now, keep in mind with that, imagine having 540 units, houses that we would have to build, down to just these 110 bedrooms. I mean, that's just to keep it in perspective.
Well, it strikes me that that might be a very low figure, 33 children, but even at 33 children, there'll be a significant cost.
Well, keep in mind that part of those units are for special needs individuals as well. 14 of those units are for special needs individuals as well.
12 children?
14 of the units are for special needs housing.
Adults.
Special needs adults. So there won't be any children coming out of those.
Right.
So now you're down to 40 units.
Right.
Where
Okay.
that's a possibility of, and they use that
Of
number to
80
figure out
bedrooms,
33.
40 units are approximately 80 bedrooms.
And that's where they get their
And what
33
you're
number.
saying is that it'll be less than a half a child per bedroom. And I find that to be an extraordinarily low figure for the kind of moderate and low-income individuals that I think are eligible for living there. But if you look at the way the structure is, the township is going to be getting, firstly, the real estate taxes based on the value of the land presently, and then there'll be a schedule of bumping up to 30 years for tax abatement. Now, when I look at the contract, in the contract, the county does get, I'm sorry, Hillsborough does get a certain proportion of money under a formula that is indicated in the contract, and that 5% of that goes to the county. But there's nothing in there that goes to the Board of Education, so that the cost of the 33 children, and my person said to me that the cost is $17,000 per year per child. It seems to me that that amounts to quite a bit of money that Board of Education then has to find other places. We want to educate the children who are there the highest possible level. That's our obligation. But the builder, who should have some obligation, it seems to me, to pay for some of the costs of educating those children, but it's not in the contract.
That's correct. And as we discussed before with the pilot agreement, the only way to make this project financially viable is to do a pilot agreement, which is required for them to get HMFA funding. If we don't do an agreement like this, we open ourselves up to a builder's remedies lawsuit. And what we've seen, and from my discussion that I had earlier, 540 units of housing could be built if we don't take a project like this on. We are finding what I like to say is creative ways of trying to pare down the ridiculous affordable housing obligations that we get put on us by the state of New Jersey. If we're going to do that, there has to be concessions. And we found a great way that we can make sure that we can keep as much building out of Hillsborough as possible. Now, the other thing I think is important is I believe there are some school taxes that are paid on this property. And I just want to clarify that.
On the land. Well, that's a minuscule amount of the value of the land compared to the value of the whole development.
The land when it's not approved, yes. Remember, it's going to be assessed as approved land. The value will go up.
The assessor believes that the approximate cost of the land will be 40% of the total assessed valuation.
Correct. Okay. So the other piece I think that's important to recognize here is that you're indicating that you think the developer should be contributing to the education school. What I would tell you is that effectively the contribution that the developer has made to particular development is twofold. One, they've built a fully affordable development. They are under no requirements to do that. The entire development is affordable housing. In most developments that are built, especially residential developments, what happens is they build 5, there has to be a 20% set aside. So for every 5 market rate units, there's 1 affordable unit. So you have to have that 5-to-1 ratio. In this case, they have fully built all affordable units, which means they have no market rate units in there. So they're not making money on the sale of market rate units to offset their affordable. They simply come forth with an affordable plan, one for rentals, but also to help support special needs adults that desperately need housing not only in Hillsborough, but in the state of New Jersey.
Okay. Now, according to the contract, this is a tax abatement over 30 years. However, under the state development of this idea, it doesn't have to be 30 years of tax abatement. It has to be a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 30. So we are giving this builder the maximum possible tax abatement.
And again, that's to avoid the building of 540 units here in Hillsborough.
And that's required by the provisions of the tax credit obligation.
That's for the HMFA tax credit program? Okay.
Well, okay, I just have to express my opinion and say that I read through all of this. The builder has gotten the maximum possible financial help from Hillsborough.
That's not correct.
Well, it is correct.
No, sir, that's simply not right. I'm sorry.
Well,
You're incorrect.
They're eligible.
I can calculate too.
No,
Okay.
sir, we're going to let you know.
Well,
They're eligible.
All right, I just want to register my statement that I think the maximum has been given, and I appreciate your statement that it hasn't. All right, now I have just a couple of other questions. I've looked at the map, and there is a chunk of land now that has been separated from the original Hillsborough map. That chunk of land is fairly large, about 23 acres or something
17.
like that.
17 acres.
How much?
17.
17 acres. So presumably, how is it going to be built there?
Mr. Mayor?
The impression,
Sir.
no, yes?
No, sir. just hold on a second.
There is a plan that this governing body adopted earlier this year regarding the entire site, which sets forth the possibility of a certain number of market rate units that could be built on the property behind.
But the impression I have, at least in discussion and so on, is that the access to that property cannot be gotten from Amwell Road. That there is a right-of-way, and then there's a road between the two units that are being built on the 3+ acres.
There are two access points, yes.
I'm sorry?
There are two access points to the property in the back,
What are they?
the ones you just described.
Okay, now, let me just ask, the road between the two housing units, does that afford the fire engines,
Yes,
ambulances, and so on?
yes.
Okay,
And that was all fully vetted at the planning board.
I'm sorry?
That was discussed at the site plan discussion at planning board.
Okay. But from the road, the new road that will be built, will there be any impediment or any cost to extending that road that will be borne by the people who own that property?
We have no way to know that until there's an application and a site plan.
Well, then you're building something.
We're not building anything.
No, that's the point. You're not really telling me that. No, please let me finish. You're not really telling me that there is a guaranteed access to that property in the back through the road that will be built on the affordable housing.
There's an easement. There's an easement, and it is proposed for an extension beyond. But that's an issue, sir, that's going to come up before the planning board at some point in the future when the applicant comes, because RPM does not own the back property.
That is not good planning for Hillsborough, because if that land cannot be built on, Hillsborough, I understand, will have a financial commitment to the value of the land that cannot be built on, because there's no access.
But isn't there a variance?
That's not going to happen. There's an easement.
Sir, before you go out and try to convince the public that there is somehow an inverse condemnation issue at risk here, this was discussed at the planning board. We have had discussions with the applicant and counsel for the back property, and there does not appear to be at this time, and obviously not until an application comes before the board will it be official, that there will be an inverse condemnation situation. There is access from two access points to the back property.
Well, let me say that that's like saying you're going to go into a casino and you think that it's going to work, but maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. There is no guarantee right now, sir, that there will be no financial feedback to Hillsborough because the land in the back has no access.
Can I just ask you,
Right now, what
can
you're
I ask
saying-
a
Hold
question?
on, it's just not true. It's just not true. There's an
Okay.
easement. It's not true.
Tell me.
There is access to the rear. We just described 2 access points. There's a legal right to them. There's an easement. There's 2 access points. You keep on saying it's uncertainty. I'm certain, I've read the documents. There's gonna be an easement.
All right, well then.
There's gonna be access.
Then why don't we do the following? Why don't we do the following? If that's a public road presumably, that's going between the 2 buildings. As a public road, it has the right dimension for ambulances and fire engines and so on. Let's then extend that road 10 feet into the back property so that we know that in fact there will be easy access by the people who own that part. They don't have to go back and go through really complicated legal things and so on. So let's
Sir, respectfully, two things. One, this discussion this evening is about the pilot program. This isn't about a site plan. 2, hold on, sir, give me 1 second, sir. Let me finish, and I will give you an opportunity. We've given you opportunities the whole time. Second is, we are telling you, there is easements to the property. Whether you extend it 10 feet or not, it doesn't matter. They have a legal right to the easement. That's why the easement's put there, so they can. So if we extend it 10 feet, 20 feet, or 0 feet, they have access to their property. That property is not landlocked. There's no way to say that it's landlocked. That is not an accurate statement.
What is the width of the road that you say is presently available?
I don't have that in front of me, because again,
There is no road presently available. There is a proposal as part of the site plan approval to build a road, which will go to the property line, and an easement for access for the property owner behind to access the road.
Sir, do you have any further questions on the pilot program?
Invest in such a corporation. The easement is how wide? How wide is it?
I don't recall off the top of my head. It's
Wide enough for a
Wide
road.
enough for a roadway and emergency access.
I believe at the planning board, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100%, so don't go, but I believe it was 24 feet.
I think that
24 feet. And
Correct.
that's standard for fire engines and
Correct.
ambulances and so on.
Correct.
Sir,
And those issues get discussed ad nauseum during the planning board hearing.
And I encourage you to reach out to our planner. He can walk you step by step through all of this. But again, if you have any other questions on the pilot program, I'm more than happy to
Okay.
answer for that. for you.
Well, again, as a person who lives here in Hillsborough and have to accept any charges or lawsuits or whatever, I would prefer that there is in fact a road, even a foot road, 1 foot, 2 feet, whatever, into the other property, so there'll never be any legal question as to whether they can extend the road.
Okay.
And, that to me is a logical thing. Obviously, it's not logical.
It's a discussion, sir. It's a discussion we'll have with the developers.
And the
Sir, just so
property
you
owner.
know, there is an owner of that property. There's an owner of that property. You're not the owner of that property that's behind there, correct? You're not the owner. Is that correct?
Who, me?
Yeah. No. There is an owner of that property. They're well aware of what's going in. And they also have an attorney who's well aware of what's going in. And you don't see them here complaining and saying, you're taking away access, do you?
And again,
So either
at the
you
moment,
figured
they
out something
don't.
that they didn't, or it's just not true.
Yeah, and again,
Well,
respectfully, they have access to that property.
It's like shooting the dice then. There might be access and there might not. But I have one last thing then, if I can ask.
Please.
Looking at the plans, there doesn't seem to be, other than a big community room, any recreation areas for children. In addition to that, children are going to be crossing Amwell Road. It's a very high traffic road. Is there going to be a light there? Are kids dependent on walking all the way to Alton in order to cross over where there is a light?
And these are all
So-
fantastic questions that I really wish you would have came to our planning board hearing to hear. I know our great writer for the Hillsborough Beacon, Gene Robbins, wrote numerous stories about that, encouraging individuals to come to the meeting. But I don't believe there's any plans to add a light at that intersection.
Absolutely not.
So at this time, there's no plans for
And
that.
nothing that the builder is responsible for building, like a basketball court or a little play area with sandboxes and so on? Nothing like that?
We'll leave that to our planning board.
Yeah, it's something that's discussed when the site plan of the project is being discussed. So in this particular case, honestly, I don't recall if there on the site was a small playground or not. We saw the site plan a while ago, but that's really an issue for the site plan discussion at planning board. It's not something for us to take up. We don't address site plan issues. That is not our function. We have no jurisdiction over that.
It really seems to me like a chicken.
No, I'm not trying to it's planning board. There's a legal responsibility at planning board to deal with site plans.
No, but your responsibility is to pass on this, and your responsibility then, as I indicated, you either decide kids need some recreational area.
Our responsibility, sir, our responsibility tonight is to decide if we're going to accept the pilot agreement. That's what's on our agenda. The issue of the site plan, the issue of the other points, they are valid points. They're just not what are under discussion, what are on our agenda tonight.
You're saying the builder can then either decide to do it or not to do it.
No, again,
Well,
what he's saying
thank
is.
you for your attention.
Thank you for your time this evening. Any other comments on this matter? Yeah. Sir, you already spoke, so. No, I'm just going to have someone else speak. Yes, Susan, if you don't mind coming forward and stating your name for the record, please. And address. On the pilot agreement, please. Thank you.
Susan Gullah, Fort Hunt Club Road. Okay, I have a few questions on this. I want to go back to something, Mr. Amadeo. I'm so sorry I missed that planning board meeting. I actually took a few days of vacation. I'm sure you missed me.
It's online for everyone to watch.
Yeah. But he did ask something I was concerned about, the school children numbers. The 14 special needs units, it's specified it's only for adults. There's not going to be special needs children
They're for adults,
that would be
correct.
eligible for those?
Correct.
Okay, that was one of my questions. Now, the pilot program, my first question was, is there a pilot agreement involved? And you answered that question right away. Financially, how does the pilot program compare to what we would have received if we had gotten regular taxes like the rest of us pay?
The only way to determine that would have been after the project was built, and then the assessor would go out there and perform an assessment, so I couldn't really tell you what the difference would be. But this provides for an annual service charge of 8% based upon the revenues that are generated by the project.
Okay, so our
And again,
taxes...
that's outside of the land taxes.
Outside of the land,
completely
for the
outside of land
improvements
taxes.
on the land.
Right.
That's
Or
correct.
after the improvements, which
Okay.
roughly 40%.
So our tax assessor really couldn't give you anything that would help you to compare when you were doing your negotiations? A financial comparison, I'm sorry.
Just so you know, when you say negotiations, we weren't so clever enough to just come up with this, just so you know.
Right.
If you take a look at Title 4820-1 et sec, and you look through that, you're going to find out that the provisions contained in that statute look a heck of a lot like the financial agreement. A lot alike. Because that's where the provisions were taken from.
That's
So
the provision
it's-
for the
it's-
long term as opposed
exactly.
to the short term. Yeah,
A lot of this
I
is-
saw the two
A lot
provisions.
of this is right from the statute. It's not like we made up the terms and came up with all these
Right.
things. It comes from the statute, a lot of it.
Now that you said that, I'm referring to it as abatement negotiations. I was sort of trying to be fair about this and research and try to find another development that was similar to this one, and the only one I could come up with was a 70-unit project in Orange, an RPM project, it turned out, And the tax abatement was 15 years. That was one that was completed in 2011. It was the closest I could find to use as a comparison. I was wondering why we went to 30 and they managed to get 15. I know without seeing what negotiations
And
occurred in Orange, it'd be
I don't know
tough.
if those units were 100% affordable housing. I don't
That
know
would be the
how many,
difference.
I don't know how many developmentally disabled housing is in there. So it's difficult for me to compare what you're saying to this project.
Okay,
I would have to
so-
see, in fairness to us, Susan, I think you would agree that if I can't speak to an agreement that I haven't seen or know all the variables to.
Okay, so I should have gone into that a little more.
I mean, it just, out of fairness, we haven't seen it, so.
Right. I went over and looked at Franklin Township Redevelopment Agency, because they have, I believe, 3 RPM projects already? Okay. And I figured they're right next door. There was a comment on the minutes of May 20th, 2013, about RPM transitioning out some of their affordable housing units to market units. They can't do this in this project because it is all affordable, correct?
And it's for 30 years.
So they can't transition
They
any
can't do
out?
That project must remain affordable for 30 years.
Okay, I thought Hillsborough Township is counting on our affordable units for our COA obligations, even though COA is kind of a moving target.
They wouldn't get their
So it would
HMFA funding.
Be locked in, okay, because they're all affordable. The pilot program, does that include school taxes? I was trying to understand the answer you gave before.
On a portion, yes.
Okay, only on the land?
On the land.
Correct.
Only on the land portion.
No different than any other pilot
Oh.
agreement.
Same
Okay.
type of agreement.
Was there anyone from the school system, Mr. Schiff, anyone assisted with the negotiations?
Well, being that the pilot agreement doesn't really cover the school board, no. But we certainly had discussions with how many school children and what their enrollment is currently, whether enrollment is going up, down, and different. It's our understanding that enrollment is down right now and trending down. I imagine in the next couple of years we'll start going even again, but especially with my 2 kids coming to the school. But yeah, I'm doing my best. So no, I mean, we had brief discussions. I don't want to speak for members of the planning board or for our administration that had discussions with him, but we certainly reached out to see where they're at right now in their population. The population in the school district is just decreasing.
Okay, I was asking because the New Jersey Office of the Comptroller had done a review of previous projects in 2010, and they actually said one of the big pluses to do in the future would be to reach out to the schools, because obviously something like this does affect our schools, and because so much of our taxes is school tax.
It does, but generally, you know, with any work that our assessor does is normally not involving the school. It's just the division of the revenue that's coming in. The assessor is really the one, along with our attorneys, that are dealing with how we set what the value of collection should be for a particular property.
Okay. Going back to, okay, you discussed the number of children that would be estimated to be at 33. But again, this report, as I was looking through it, mentioned it's not only the number of children that are coming into the school system from the project and the costs, but also considering the amount of revenue that the school district would not receive as a result of the pilot program. But again, I guess we have no idea what that would be without any assessment, correct? We don't know what the amount is the school system would not receive.
Correct. But so let's just be clear, though. There's sort of one. the coffers are what they are, right? So at the end of the day, it's Hillsborough taxpayers paying for Hillsborough levies. But from the standpoint of the impact to the schools, it's an impact on 40 apartments or 540 housing units. So we can, if you want to quibble that it's 33 or 45 or 50, whatever the number may be, it's a heck of a lot less than if we had 500 units being built to offset the same obligation.
Okay. Did we, no, I'm not going to ask that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments on this matter? Yes, please come up, state your name for the record and address, please.
Ann Harris, 25 Beverly Drive. I just have been in the school district for over 20 years. And in seeing the bubbles that go through our district, I'm thinking because Hillsborough is one of the best places to live in America.
Thank you.
I think that 33 is a very low number, and I'm thinking that even if there were 2 children in each unit, that's 80 to 100 children.
Well, no, hold on. You got to remember, part of those units are for developmentally disabled adults. So you have to take out 14 units right off the bat.
Well,
and some are
14 is...
Some of them are one bedroom, too.
So no disabled adults with children are allowed there?
No, these are for adults. That's it.
No
It's not supposed to be
disabled
for
adults with children
It's just
would
for
be able
adults,
to be
correct.
there?
It's just for adults.
Okay.
So-
But still, 80 to 100
No, it's not going to be 80.
children
It's not-
could be
No, that's
in
not
this
accurate.
in this unit. Because I can see young people who have moved away, gone to college, and coming back here who would like to live in Hillsborough have no way to afford it unless they can be part of a unit like this.
Mayor.
Most of them are young. They want to start a family. They want to be back in the community where they grew up, which is wonderful. It's all a good picture. But when we look at the impact it would have on one school, that's adding 1/5 of the population in one school.
But your numbers are inaccurate. Your numbers aren't accurate. I understand what you're saying, but they're not accurate. They're just not. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Some of these units are single family, all right? So you
One
gotta-
bedroom.
I mean, one bedroom, so you take them off the list. Then you also have ones that are just for developmentally disabled adults. You take
I know,
those
I
off the
came
list.
to the planning board
But-
meeting. I understand.
And I'm not being disrespectful.
I
Let me finish.
understand what's there.
I let you speak. Let me finish. So when you take the number of bedrooms left, and there's formulas for this, and maybe it's 40 children, but the formula says it's 33.
Maybe it's none. I mean, there's a possibility there are
This
none.
is the estimate and what planners use. This is a number
Right.
that's been set up. So we're talking 33 children, not 100.
But the
33.
possibility is there could
Mayor.
be that many children in the
If,
building.
if you take that, ma'am, to its logical or illogical conclusion, in order to build the number of units this municipality will get in terms of affordable housing credits, you're talking about the possibility of almost 1,100 children. If you take the numbers you're putting out at 2 children a unit for 540 units, you're looking at 1,080 children. I would dare say that if this municipality were to allow a development with 1,080 children, everybody would be screaming bloody murder, that how did you let all these children come into town? So when we start talking about the numbers wrong, the numbers low, it's an estimate based upon the bedroom mix, as you attended the planning board meeting, on the bedroom mix and on related items. So let us not throw out a simple, oh, they would normally get 1 to 2 people a unit, because if we're going to take that number based on what is being dealt with through this project, you're suggesting that what the municipality should do is allow the building of units that would put in 1,100 school children.
I'm not suggesting 540 single-unit family homes.
They wouldn't be
your numbers
they
that
wouldn't
you
they
were
wouldn't they
throwing
wouldn't be
around.
any more. They would be a mix of bedroom units at 540 units. I'm not talking 540 single-family homes. I'm talking 540 dwelling units, which would be a mix of bedroom, very similar to the number we're talking about here, only expanded greatly. And if you expand the number you're suggesting, then you have to expand the number accordingly.
Yes, sir. I understand your vision for 540 units. However, 540 units don't get built in 1 year. That doesn't increase the student population to that number in 1 year.
And that may be true, but under that scenario, it's safe to assume that if we're building this unit in development in one, you could certainly have another unit that is not affordable, that's going to have the same number built in year 1, and the same number built in year 2, and the same number built in year 3.
But
So
they
I
wouldn't be
understand.
going for the tax abatement.
That may be true, but the tax abatement on, again, 54 units, and it's not they're still paying into the municipal coffers. I don't want to throw the term abatement out there like they're not paying anything.
Right.
They are still contributing, but it's
some of the taxes are going to the schools.
Some are, but the issue remains of the units that this development significantly limits the ultimate possibility of what could be developed. So we could say maybe it's 40, maybe it's 50. You want to say it's 100, that's your prerogative. The 33 is based upon planning metrics that are used, based upon what the statistical averages are for each home with the number of bedrooms. It's not a number we came up with, it's just what's used for planning purposes. So, want to quibble? Of course that number may not be accurate, it's just an estimate. We can't know for sure. But it's somewhere between 0 and give or take 100, right? That's the number you're talking about. It's a whole lot less than the kids that would be in a much bigger development. And in order to make this development viable, it has to have a lower tax burden than a fully market rate unit. It just, I mean, logically that makes sense, right? They can only sell these units or rent these units. The volume of their revenue is capped. They've done that because they're providing affordable units. So to be able to have effectively market rate tax, they're not market rate units, so it's not a viable project otherwise.
Well, I'm sure that I want to thank you for bringing affordable housing unit to our community because I think it is needed. And hopefully, in good faith, you all have thought about this so that our taxes don't go up as individual Hillsborough residents because we need more school taxes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope our track record speaks to that.
Any other comments on this item? Seeing none, you're good. I'm going to, gentlemen, I'll let you, hold up, sir. I'll let everyone speak, but only on the pilot. I have to be clear, only on the pilot. This is not a planning board meeting. If you're going to speak to the pilot, I'd be happy to answer you. But if it's not in the pilot, I don't feel that this is the appropriate meeting for that.
I'll ask a question and then you decide whether it's
Again, state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Adeo Diadamo Jr., 913 Grenade Drive, Unit 4 here in Hillsborough. You get a lot of information, some of which is correct and on firm ground, and some of which isn't. You know, so you build up a mythology. But the question I have is in reference to your idea that more and more children could be in additional housing and so on. But from what I have understood, there is a development on Route 206, up on Route 206, which was originally programmed only for adults and was changed so that younger people could live there, younger people bringing children. Is that correct?
So the law you're referring to is what some people refer to as Sarlos law, or the age-restricted housing law that they changed in 2011 in the waning days of Governor John not 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
John Corzine's.
It was
in John Corzine's last days before he left office.
09.
He signed 09. Okay, before he left office, he signed a piece of legislation that flipped that and said if the township had already zoned something to be adult communities only, that it could switch.
And then we made the switch.
What's that?
And then we made the switch.
Well, not we. The governor at that time, Governor John Corzine, in the legislature, gave the permission that the developer, all they had to do was come back to the planning board and say, and correct me if I'm wrong, council, that I'd like to switch to be non-adult communities, and they would have to be granted that. And there was nothing that the township could do to do that. Now, what this township did, they negotiated. And they, instead of having it 100%, like all the other towns throughout the state, and I don't know the other town that got an agreement like we did, it's now half and half. So it's almost half adult, half market rate. Where in the other way, under the law that was signed by John Corzine, it completely switched. So this township worked hard to make sure that that didn't happen here. Now, knowing that, I know what your next question is going to be is why couldn't the legislature do that again with affordable housing? I think we've seen time and time again that the legislature has gone, and whether we agree with it or not, to protect affordable housing. I don't see them ever switching and saying that, no, those units that were set aside for developmentally disabled should be switched to regular market rate. There's no way I could see the legislature, Republican or Democrat, ever going down that road.
So the concern about children didn't apply, the number of children didn't apply in this case. Is it a way for me to find out the planning board's resolutions and so on? I'd like to trace that back somehow so that I understand the process.
We have a brand new planner that I'm sure would be more than happy to go over all this with you. It'll be a good course for him too. So if you want to call our municipal building tomorrow, 908-369-4313, ask for the planning department, and we can start those discussions with you so you can have all the information. It's all publicly available and you have a right to it.
I know how gracious the people are there, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. We really do have great employees here, as you mentioned, through our clerk. So we'd be happy to help you out on that. Okay, any other items?
Gentlemen.
Come forward, please. Again, pilot only. Thank you, sir.
No, I'm well aware of what it was. Trust me, it was an argument.
My name is Lloyd Haas, 2 Titus Court, Hillsborough.
Thank you, Lloyd.
And in section D, it says, Amwell Commons shall obtain a title to the property within 3 years of date of execution of the plans. Have they obtained the title yet?
Have they?
They're in the process of obtaining it. It's conditioned upon the credit project going through.
Okay, that's my question.
Thank you, Lloyd. Any other comments at this time? Okay. Again, on the pilot only, and then we're going to close discussion on this.
Hello?
Again, state your name and address for the record, please.
Corrigana, 81 Marshall Road.
Thank you.
I'm negligent in my knowledge. I see these people have much more than I do, and they don't have much either. However, I want to ask tonight's issue is about whether to vote or approve the circumstance with taxes, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. As a consequence
Excuse
of
me, sir.
taxes.
Excuse me. Can you just speak into the microphone a little bit better, please, so they can hear you at home? Thank you.
Is that better? It's not much difference.
It's
a little bit closer.
It's for the
closer.
It's for the recording. Perfect.
Okay. As the consequences, and I think you've explained it, and I think everybody has. So bear with me. I'm sure it's been here in little bits and pieces. Summarize it for me. Number one, you're saying the 500-unit idea, and you brought it down to what we have now, 54 units. Okay, that's great. So I agree with that. However, in the fact that the children seems insignificant, so shouldn't be an impact on our taxes as the rest of Hillsborough to pay to make up for the 33, if I read that right. Okay, because they're going to go to school, they're not paying taxes from that building, but it's an insignificant amount. We're going to get an 8% in lieu of tax, okay, from the profits. I don't know how to equate that. But as usual, I think a township needs to make money. So if they're making money from that lieu, apparently it was okay for you, and you agreed upon it. But is there anything left over that the citizens of Hillsborough currently can expect they're going to have to make up for something more so that you could get away from the 500 going to the 54 units? As our increase, as our taxes as a consequence of tonight, going to be necessarily raised in time to make up for no taxes from the 54 units.
If we raise your taxes.
Well, first of all, there are taxes.
Yeah. So let me
maybe
there's also
on
taxes.
property.
Yeah.
On the improvements, not on the land is going to be taxed.
So here's the issue remains, and it's one of the I don't want to say dirty little. I think it's the reason school children come up is because, frankly, when it costs $13,000 to $15,000, whatever the number may be, I think it's $13,000. We have a Board of Ed member. Generally, for every kid, if you have a household, roughly, let's say, $10,000, $11,000 in tax, school's not making up that difference off of one household. So you don't collect enough taxes in a year on any house to cover one child.
I'm not sure I follow. I'm saying that, I'm discounting the 33 people for whatever.
My point is, for every child, you don't collect enough on a single residence to cover one child in a school.
Okay, wait a second.
It comes from other sources, from commercial taxes. It comes from houses that don't have children in the school district. Other fees, government assistance, state funding, whatever it may be.
That's also, I'm glad you said that. So you're saying that although they're not paying, I'm going to say it this way, I know it's incorrect, they're not paying taxes for 30 years, and except and all that stuff. I'm asking, where is that made up? And you're saying not from the citizens of Hillsborough today. You're saying it comes from other sources and that's been taken care of.
No, well,
You don't have to inspect them.
it's hard to say where it's being made up from because we don't know what the gap is. But at the end of the day, all the collections that come in, and both the school and the municipal government have to live within a particular budget. So if there's either an additional levy or there's other sources of income that has to come in aside from a tax levy, or there's a reduction in other costs. I mean, that's where it makes up. So you can't pinpoint specifically where this is coming from, but ultimately those are your three alternatives. A higher tax levy, which we're capped at 2%, so that we can't increase the levy more than 2%. It's coming from other sources of revenue, and that's other fees or things that are coming into the township, or you reduce costs, which is what, from a municipal government standpoint, we've been doing to overall reduce the tax burden.
Okay.
This government spends less today than it did in 2008.
Okay, that's the usual circumstance, right? Has it been built in? It sounds like it hasn't really been built into this project the way it's voting on tonight.
I think respectfully what Committeeman Delcor said is that you can't do that at this time.
You can't consider how already it would be paid for, that lack of taxes for 30 years.
Well, we can't assume how many children would be
Yeah.
coming in. We have an estimate, but we can't assume the number up front. And we have to build the units, see who comes in, et cetera, before we can even consider it.
Mayor,
Consider that.
we keep talking about, A, there won't be any taxes. There will be taxes paid on the land, and there will be payment made to the municipality in the remainder on the improvements. It is a limited project with a significantly less impact than it would be if the project were built without the tax credits. As to how we're going to quote-unquote make up the difference, it will be made up over a period of time, as the committeeman indicated, either in additional revenue, in reduction of costs, or a combination thereof, as we would with any other project in this town that comes in with or without a payment in lieu. The other part, sir, that I think we all lose sight of is that there is something magical in people paying a full tax rate as if somehow that makes it better than a payment in lieu. Paying a full tax rate doesn't ensure any more revenue based upon the obligations the municipality has than a pilot agreement in which we have. Because generally when people are paying a full freight tax, they're paying for significantly more housing than this kind of housing generates. So for the public, as the mayor indicated at the beginning, we have an affordable housing obligation. We're trying to minimize the impact of the affordable housing obligation on the one hand. You have developers on the other hand, and we have a lineup of them who are already willing and able to build all kinds of housing. But in order to do that, they want to build market rate housing because there's no money in, and I can tell you from doing this for 30 years, there is no money, I hear time and time and time again, there is no money in building affordable housing except under these circumstances. So therefore, you have to, I hate this phrase, incentivize them. And the incentive is to let them build more units. And in doing so, the tax impact becomes greater and greater, and the amount paid does not necessarily make up the difference. So I think the municipality has, at least through this project, tried to take into account those kind of issues in minimizing the tax impact on the residents.
Okay, I think that's what I know. Don't get upset.
I'm not.
What I'm going to say now is to clarify to myself. I think what we're saying is, yes, I understand instead of 500, that's 54, and that's great. It works now? Okay. Instead of the 500, now it's 54. However, the reality is there's also going to be somehow a need from those three sources to make up for some increase of tax.
Assuming there is an increase, which you cannot assume.
Okay. No. Okay, that's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments on this? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion? Yes, sir. On the pilot only, please.
Clearly, all of us are concerned with families and children. I mean, one of the reasons Hillsborough is such a good place to live in. Is it within the purview of this group, our town council people, to ask the planning board to re-examine their outline of what's there, to ask the planning board to have the builder either asked or required, if asking would be better, it would, to build a couple of basketball units of fields there, some swings, you know, things like that. I mean, you have kids there. You say 33, you know, I say 55, you know, it doesn't matter, you have kids there. There's a very dangerous roadway in front of that.
Sir, I tell you, I asked you to speak to the pilot.
Yes,
But
I'm asking
what
whether
I'll ask,
you
sir,
can-
I'm gonna ask. Okay.
I'm asking whether you have it in your purview.
And I was
have
gonna
the right
answer.
to ask the planning board to
The answer's
look
no.
at.
Yeah.
Your question's been answered. The answer's no.
we're not-
The planning board is its own legal body, so we cannot exert undue. Now, I sit on the planning board.
I said,
So,
I didn't say require.
well, but what I'm telling you is we can't ask the planning board to do anything that we want them to do. Now, what,
It's
sir,
a completely
you can
separate
shrug your
legal
shoulders.
entity.
It's a legal body. So let
I
me,
can't understand a democratic government then, if you can't.
so
simply
can
say,
you let me finish my point
we're
first?
asking you to do this, if you can't ask that. then
So let me
sir,
give, so
please
what
let
I
him
was
explain.
about to say to you was, I sit on the planning board,
Okay.
as does Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Okay.
So we've heard you. We can have that as a, not as a township committee person, as a member of the planning board. Point noted. We will see if there's anything that can be done.
I appreciate that, thank you. I think it's important that children that are living on a high-speed roadway to somehow be more or less have things that they can do.
Well, in Brooklyn, they play
that
stickball in
area.
the street,
Thank
you
very
know?
much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any discussion from the floor? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 2015-13?
So moved.
Second.
Second, roll call, please.
Chairman Delcor,
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Burchett,
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 2015-14, an ordinance to amend and supplement an ordinance entitled Salary Range Ordinance establishing a new classification and setting forth this salary range. Further consideration of this ordinance in public hearing. Oh,
You're
sorry.
on public
I don't have to
hearing,
do that. We already did that one. Sorry. We have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2015-14.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, is there any discussion from the dais?
Nope.
Nope, from the floor? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 2015-14?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Chairman Delcor,
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Burchett,
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes. Moving on to introduction of new ordinances this evening. We have an ordinance 2015-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 211, which is our noise ordinance, and amending Chapter 188, Section 107, G7, GI, General Industrial District Performance Standards of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. And further consideration of this ordinance and public hearing will be held on August 11, 2015. This ordinance amends our Township Code Book in accordance with the model ordinance received from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection regarding noise. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the dais? Comments from the floor? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor.
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes. Moving on to considerations this evening, resolution number 1 of the Township of Hillsborough authorizing the mayor to sign a grant agreement on behalf of the township with Animal Commons Urban Renewal Associates, LP, and Live Management, Inc. to provide a grant in the amount of $928,000 funded from the township's Affordable Housing Trust Fund to provide financial assistance to this affordable housing project that we just discussed. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the dais?
Yeah, Mayor, just to reiterate, and I know we talked about it a little bit during the prior section, this amount sits in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. It is funded by contributions that are legally required by developers for projects that have already been completed in town. This is not coming out of tax dollars. This is contribution that sits in a trust fund, can only be utilized to help the town support and build its affordable housing obligations. So this is exactly the purpose of that trust fund, is to help us build out our affordable housing.
Mayor, also for the record, this has been approved by the special master who oversees the affordable housing obligations here in the township through the courts, and has also been approved by Judge Bucksbaum for the transfer of the money for the application in question.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments from the dais? Seeing none, any comments from the floor? Please state your name and address for the record.
Susan Gullo, Fort Hunt Club Road. I just couldn't find this information. What's Live Management, Inc.? Is that like the person that works on the grant, or are they associated with RPM?
Do you have that in there? I believe that is the one who's associated with the grant.
I believe they're associated with the grant, is my recollection.
That's the management company, right?
Yeah.
It's separate from the ownership.
It's an affiliated.
Can you come to the microphone? I'm
It's
sorry.
affiliated entity that's going to manage the
Let him get up here and make the comment, as long as he's here.
Life Management is the nonprofit organization that we work with to provide social services for the project, and they play a role in the management as well.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments from the floor? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor.
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes, resolution number 2 to renew the township liquor licenses for the 2015-16 license term. The holder of township liquor licenses listed in this resolution have paid the requisite fees, have been reviewed by the police department, and have filed the appropriate documentation to have their licenses renewed. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the dais? Comments from the floor? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor.
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett.
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes, resolution number 3, authorizing the promotion of John Sheridan to the position of Director of the Office of Emergency Management / Police Property Supervisor for the Township of Hillsborough effective July 1st, 2015, at an annual base salary of $48,811.
Me too.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the dais?
Yeah, Mayor, John couldn't be here tonight, but I know he's excited about the role, and he's been tremendous in the amount of time that he's filled out in a part-time. So we're excited to fill full-time with a lot of the drills, not only through our camp, but through the municipal building here and through all of our business continuity. So we have a lot of plans in the coming year. So moving that to a full-time position is going to put the township in a better position and the residents.
Yeah, and personally having the opportunity to work with John, and I know Committeewoman McCauley, who deals with him quite regularly as police liaison, or emergency services liaison, John is out there constantly. I mean, he's there at 3 o'clock in the morning. He answers every phone call, is at every event he can. He volunteers to the fire departments. I think, and he goes out and gets a lot of grants for us too. Spends a lot of time working on grants for the township, which we all always appreciate because it does offset our taxes. So I think it's a great addition to our team. Any other comments?
And the chief just motioned that he's a great guy in the back, too.
We have the approval of the chief too, which is great too. So any other comments from the dais? Comments from the floor? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor.
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes. Resolution number 4, extending the grace period for payment of third quarter estimated taxes for 2015 to August 24th, 2015. As Deputy Mayor Burchett mentioned earlier this evening, as a result of the mailing of the tax bills on July 28th, the grace period has been extended until August 24th. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Let me take the second.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais?
Mayor, just to be clear, the extension does not apply to pilot payments.
Thank you. Any comments from the floor? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes, resolution number 5, awarding a contract for the 2015 sidewalk and curbing replacement to A-Team Concrete, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $75,000. The township sought sealed bids for the above-mentioned project, and on June 17, 2015, the township received 4 bids in response. The assistant township engineer and the QPA have reviewed the said bids and made the above recommendation. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? From the floor? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes. Moving on to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve said consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? Comments from the floor about the consent agenda? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes. Moving on to claims list. May I have a motion to approve claims list 2015-13?
So moved.
Second.
A roll call, please.
Freeman Delcor?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Burchett?
Yes.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes. This concludes our regular meeting this evening. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
2 seconds. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.